What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Clark After Dark. Today I have on the one and only Mindy Francis. Mindy is the definition of the Jane of all trades mentality, as she is currently working in her 23rd job as an EA. More importantly, she is the mother of 5 wonderful children, of whom I've had the pleasure of teaching only a few of them so far. On the episode, we discuss her starting her own podcast, Sight Wife, how she has been able to cultivate a close family, having 5 children, student mental health, and how being in education helps her understand her own kids better, how her kids actually listen, leaving the Mormon church, and how she wants her children's childhood to differ from her own, and the legalistic mentality of Mormonism and its hierarchy in heaven that we go into quite a bit, growing together with her husband after getting married very young, placing boundaries with your kids, vampire diaries, and avoiding drama, how different the high school kids are now, even since we were in high school, and of course, much more. Thank you all for tuning in, and do not forget to check out her podcast, Sight Wife, coming soon. Hope you enjoy the show. Do a test quick. Boom, boom, boom. Do yours.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Breezy. All right. Mindy Francis.
Yes.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am breezy. Elated to have you on.
Thanks.
So more than 10 jobs in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Like 23rd one now?
I don't even know. I lost track.
The resume, you just keep trimming pages off the end as you go?
Yeah. The Jane of all trades is literally me.
The Jane of all trades. So I guess like keeping with the theme, I guess, why EA, why education? How's your kind of experience? How would you describe your experience in a sentence being in education now?
A whirlwind.
just a word, not
a
even
whirlwind.
Yeah.
I actually got into it because of my kids. I wanted to do something that was able to work with my schedule. Mm-hmm. Ironically, raising 5 kids, it was like a lot, but being around kids is also, I guess, a strength that I didn't realize I had.
Yeah.
So being in the school system, it's like, it's motivating, like being here. Like I just, yeah.
What do you mean by motivating?
Because I feel like I'm making a difference in someone's life. Like even just one kid, I feel like it makes a difference. So if I can do that, then I've succeeded.
How long have you been doing it now? Because I know last year like you were casual.
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just tried to find something for myself for like our family because husband's at site and shift working and obviously 5 kids.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it just was actually the first thing was the schedule.
Yeah.
So that I can be home to cook supper. I could be available when the kids need me. I was home at night. I wasn't gone till 5, 6 p.m., letting them like kind of fend for themselves. And
do you find like being in a school now helps you like understand your kids better?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I'm more like, well, I'm 100% involved in their lives
yes,
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes, but also it hasn't really changed at the same time because me and my kids are so close. Like,
yeah, you do like strike me as like a very close family. How have you been able to like how do you? It's like it's hard for like any family to be close, but do you think it's because you're a bigger family that's like why you're closer? Like what do you think it is? Do you think there's like something to that you guys do, or?
Yeah, well, I've always integrated that in our family. Like I've always wanted us to be close, and I've even told the kids like, you have each other forever. Like this is your best friends forever. So respect each other, value each other. Like these are your people.
Yeah.
So never take them for granted. So always like have fun, always laugh, always make these memories. And they've always just listened.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Luckily. Well, because even like my mom, like she had her 2 younger brothers, but she had 4 siblings as well.
Okay.
And like her and her 2 sisters were like it was 3 girls that were born and then the 2 boys, and she was the youngest of the 3 girls.
Oh, yeah.
So like they've been like
tight
pretty much tight ever since high school, but then like hated each other growing up, but which is pretty common. Like you don't really like your siblings, and then all of a sudden you all finish high school and you're like, hey, where are you? Where did you go?
You're all
like,
grown ups and best friends again. Yeah.
And then but like obviously you're gonna have like your spats and whatever, but I don't know, did you have like kind of a similar thing with like your sisters like kind of growing up like that as well?
Yeah, I feel like, well, because I'm the oldest of the 4,
okay.
I was 4 sisters.
Okay.
There's 4 of us.
Yeah.
But we weren't like, we were close, but at the same time we weren't. Like I was like the teen, like we were all about, I think 3 years apart. So I was just like off doing the teenager thing.
Yeah.
But once we started like raising families and we're so much alike, all of us are just like, so we're just really close now as adults. And yeah, I just always wanted my kids to be that way, like just always be close.
Yeah, and there's a kid who did like the Heritage Project. I don't know. I think I taught Kyla that one last year. Like you do like a family thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is my older sister. Like we hate each other. I was like,
I know.
Well, and like they had just recently graduated, and I was like, give it time.
Yeah,
It's
you'll
fine.
be best friends eventually.
I was like, give it 2 or 3 years, you'll be good.
Yeah.
But 3 sisters grew up in Alberta, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
In southern Alberta, and grew up Mormon, all of you, right? And are some of them still Mormon? Like how, if you don't mind, like kind of going into that a little bit. Yeah.
No, none of my family is, and Dustin's family, majority have left as well, siblings wise. Yeah, that was a big curve in our life, and a big choice that we had to make, and it solely was based on how we wanted to raise our kids, and the organized religion side of it. Me and Dustin used to go to church, and that was our life. We were raised that way. It was our social life. It was our friends. It was everything, and you just did that because that's how you were raised. And if you didn't, you were kind of like an outcast. So when our kids were getting older, I want to say Kyla was like 5 or 6. We would go to church, and they would teach all these things and have all these expectations of you. And these rules is kind of what I call it.
Yeah.
And then we'd come home and we'd talk and we'd be like, well, we don't really want our kids to do that. So I'm like, how confusing is that for them?
Yeah.
To go to church. I mean, it's great. Like if that's what you want to do, then that's great. But then come home and be like, well, you don't really have to. We don't really expect you to do that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of expectations.
It's very confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
So we had to make the hard decisions. There's a lot to being raised in the church that it's a lot. Like you constantly feel like this weighing on your shoulders of like how you're supposed to live. And it's a lot. Like when we left, I honestly felt like the biggest weight off my shoulders. And so did Dustin. We weren't both ever like into it. Like I remember growing up, I never felt like I belonged. I'd see other people that weren't in it, and I wanted to be them.
So why do you think that was? Do you think like your family? Because everything you're saying, like I find it weird saying like I didn't grow up very religious, but I grew up like arbitrarily religious. If that makes sense. Like it was like small town Newfoundland, like Pentecost, which was like. It's just intense because that's like what the town's kind of based around. And I find like when you, like as you're growing up, like I'd see people like raising hands in church and I'd be like, I just don't have it in me to do that.
No.
You know what I mean? Not in like I didn't believe or like I was being critical or anything.
If you are in the building, can you come to the office? Pharrell Hussein?
We are in a school.
Real life.
Well, yeah. And I just found it weird that like you almost kind of always like know.
You do.
But some people like they don't get that. Like they're
No.
fully in it and like the nicest people but like it's just very strange to kind of learn the more religious people and like how you distance yourself or you feel distance from it but you don't know what to define that. Like you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But so like when did you start kind of feeling that?
I would say like always. I was never invested. I really wasn't. There's a lot of things that are expected of you as a kid, even in the church. And I just didn't have that desire to do it.
So what is like, so again, I'll try to give my crash course of what I think being Mormon is. And then please correct me. So
I might even not even, I might not even know, but yes.
But like, it's
it.
just like again, you can talk about like the overall beliefs of a religion, but it all kind of came down to like what was your kind of weekly routine as an adolescent. That's usually because even every family will do that differently, even in the same like religion. But like Joseph Smith, right?
which apparently he's not a polygamist, but he was a polygamist.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even think about the polygamy part.
Yeah, there's a lot to the doctrine that like my parents are really involved into investigating that. And after we left, we kind of learned a lot more, but that wasn't why we left.
Okay.
We're not like, so I want to say I don't regret being raised the way I was raised, but I don't want my kids to be raised that way. And I think maybe that's why our family's so close, because that is a huge thing in the Mormon culture. But as for like the weekly thing, there was a lot of expectations. You had to have family prayer every day, every night. You had to read your scriptures, especially the Book of Mormon. You had to pay your tithing. 10% of your income went to the church. Once we got married, you had to wear specific things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a whole other thing.
So how would courting work? Is courting
like
the word?
dating?
Yeah, like is courting the wrong word? Or would that
I don't know. I don't. That's so formal.
Well, I
dating. Yeah, you can't date till you're 16.
Okay.
But you have to like go on. So this was how we were back then.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of evolved with the times, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of doing that to evolve with the times.
Yeah.
Just to kind of be more, I don't know how to explain it. Like
open
like,
or
I don't know.
tolerant.
Yeah. More people like, oh, okay.
Yeah. More lenient, I guess, to kind of like to not like, I guess, like eradicate itself, because you want to try to adjust kind of to like maintain.
Like we couldn't drink Diet Coke.
Yeah.
We couldn't drink, or Coke, I guess. Anything caffeinated, anything.
Why was that?
Just any caffeinated drinks. It's in the scriptures. You can't have any hot drinks, anything caffeinated. Okay. Obviously, like no smoking, drinking, alcohol, stuff like that. And it was just rule after rule. And it was just a lot. And they would ask you such personal questions. Like, so we would have to sit in and do almost like an interview every birthday as a kid and teen and adult.
Okay. And so an interview.
Like an interview.
So
with our bishop. And he would ask us, I want to say it's like 15 questions. And you had to like say yes. Like it was literally a checklist of how you live your life.
Oh.
And if you don't do that, you can't go to the temple. So you have to be this worthy member, quote unquote. And if you don't do all these things, you're not a worthy member and you're frowned upon.
So is there like a hierarchy of members?
I would say there is.
Okay.
I would say 100%.
Like an informal one?
It's very formal.
Well, I'm just trying to think.
But yes, there's a lot of like, so for example, boys, like young men, are expected to go on a mission.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dustin's parents wanted him to go on a mission, and they just expect that of you.
Yeah.
And this was every person we knew. So we were both raised in like a small town, like Mormon community.
Yep.
And you're just expected to go on a mission. And if you don't, it's judged.
Yeah.
You're like, kind of like I would say almost blacklisted or judged or just, talked about. Or if you go on a mission, you make the wrong choices on a mission. Yeah. And then you're judged and it really kind of ridiculed.
Did you go on a mission?
No.
Do women go on a mission?
Women can. Yeah, they can. So Dustin didn't. And so we ended up like getting married, and his parents were okay, like fine with it. They would never like shun him for it. His parents are amazing. But it's crazy like how much pressure is put on you when you're in such a structured religion.
Yeah, because I even noticed like some of the more, I guess, arbitrary things that I was kind of referring to before was like, you couldn't use scissors on Sunday. And like you could...
Maybe I don't even know that one. Oh, you can't shop on Sunday.
Okay.
You can't go to the grocery store.
Really?
Can't spend money.
Oh,
that was
interesting.
One.
Was made like a... So was church on Sunday?
Yeah.
I assume? Okay.
Yeah.
Was that like you only tithe on Sunday? Was that kind of like like you only give...
And then you can pay extra tithing. Oh my gosh, what are they called? They would go to your house, like house to house, these young men.
Like an offering?
Tithe offering. Thank you.
Okay,
That's literally what it is.
yeah.
So you pay 10% of your income. And if you don't do that, you can't go to the temple either.
Okay.
So ironically, our anniversary was yesterday, 20 years. We were not religious tithe payers. And so we couldn't get married when we actually wanted to get married. We wanted to get married on April 10th.
Okay.
And the bishop said, well, you haven't been paying your tithing. So if you continue paying your tithing for 3 months in a row, that's the date that you can get married. So we got married April 30th instead because we had to pay 3 months of tithing in a row.
Wow.
In order to get married in the temple.
So you guys were still like dating, married while still members.
Yeah.
And so I guess like I find like even myself as I've gotten older, I've like gradually gone to church less. It wasn't like a deliberate choice of like, I'm not going to church anymore, but there's not the same kind of like no one would say, oh, Lucas left the church. You know what I mean? But so like what is there like a process of leaving? Like,
yeah.
a
Oh,
Mormon
totally.
church?
So you can like write an official letter to say you're removing your whole records. And
So what are the records?
so once you get, I want to say it's baptized.
Okay.
When you're 8 years old, they baptize you.
Okay. Yeah.
You become an official member of the church. And so you're on their records forever. And if you want off, you have to write an official letter to say, I want to be removed from the records. If not, you're like, we haven't done that. But like we'll always be there. So like we can have missionaries show up at our door and be like, hey, how are you guys doing? And we're just checking in on you and your family. Like, they'll try and like get you to come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But we aren't.
No.
Even our kids, like they see it. So my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live here. We're close. Their kids are close. And so we left and they didn't. They were still in the church. And so our kids saw them being raised in the religion. And they were always like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, so I feel like sometimes, like, if you're in it, you're just in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're in this bubble. And if you're out, you see a whole different perspective. But when you can't see that until you're out of it.
How have you seen it differently now that you're like out?
Just the control, the like force to live a certain way. Like, I know it's like, I don't know how to like, it's kind of controversial, but it's almost unhealthy because you are constantly pressured to live this way, like this perfect person. And if you don't, and it goes into like the afterlife, like after everything.
And so
It's all like a big thing.
is it like it's not the 144,000. That's Jehovah's Witness, right? I think. Like, what is the conceptualization of the afterlife?
So there's 3 kingdoms of heaven.
Okay.
And depending on how you live on earth, that's where you go.
Okay.
So like there's just pressure everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're not at that level, your family won't be together after you die.
Oh, because you have to like each kind of
So if
make
you're not
the
this
same.
worthy,
Oh.
So if you're not this worthy person on earth, you're not going to be together after.
Like you might only get to level 1. Like
Exactly.
we're all going to level 2. So I don't know. Like,
Right?
Wow.
So I don't know. Like when we moved here, there was some friends that were Catholic, and I became really good friends with them. And I just was like, why are we in these like hierarchies of heaven and almost like I say, quote unquote, better than them
Yep.
when they're amazing humans? They're
Yeah.
amazing beings. Like,
Yeah.
look at these people. Like, and that's what got me. That was kind of my trigger. I was like, this doesn't make sense anymore because I'm no better than these people. Like, we're all going to be, like, whatever the afterlife
We're all
is.
going to level 3.
We're all going to level 3. Exactly. We're going to the top. If you're a good human and you don't
good.
go and like commit murder,
You don't have to answer all the questions. Just you're good.
right? I was like, how are these people not going to be with their family after death? Like, that's not okay. So that just, to me,
It's just not okay.
just not okay. It's not okay with me. So yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. That alone was like its whole circle.
And so, but like I guess I was under the impression like you were like you left and then got married and like came here, but you were married and still like kind of in it
yeah,
for a bit.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think we had 3 kids by then.
Okay.
Maybe,
And
no, 4. I think 4.
so, and why would they? because again, like you have people who are like still kind of coming to your door. So why? Like, it's not like they're like in a private compound, like the kind of classic like shows that you see on TV of like these religions that get like very like isolated.
Yeah.
Like, I do think almost every religion, it's like purposeful isolation because like you're trying to live a certain way. Like, it is your community, like you have a doctrine, but then that's any religion. But like, it seems like with Mormon, is it Mormonism? Is that like
Mormonism,
the name?
yeah.
Okay. It's like if you leave, like you're shunned.
Pretty much.
Whereas like people I see from church growing up are like, oh, hey, look, it's like, it's not like a weird thing. It's like, why, like what is distinct about like Mormonism that you think like, is it like just a social pressure? Is it, or is it like promoted from the top down? Like you don't talk to those who leave.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So when we left, I don't know how it is now. Maybe it's, as I said, evolved.
Yeah.
But like I still have so many friends that are still, and family members that are still in the church. And if they want to, like, if that's their life, go live it, love it. Like, you're happy.
Yeah.
I support it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, it was just something that, you don't, it was like a structured way that you're supposed to live. And if you don't, it was just like ingrained in you. Like, that's how it was. And I think maybe being in a small Mormon town where everybody's the same way, it was a lot more forced. So like I lived in Edmonton, for example, and then moved to a small Mormon town.
Yeah, come in. I think it's just the custodian. Oh, yes. Hey, what's up? Yeah, what's up? No, it's okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You're good. Yeah. No, you're honestly, this is why we pre-record. We edit.
This is why we pre-record.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, go. We're good. No worries. Yeah, no worries. All good. See you later.
They're so cute. Small Mormon town.
You meet your husband very young. And why the decision to marry young, do you think?
Because we were Mormon.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because I guess you're still... Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So one of the biggest things in Mormonism is you're not allowed to have intercourse before you're married. So a lot of people just get married.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. We had a lot of friends that got married at the same age. Like, that's what you do. You just
And you were 18?
I was 18.
18?
Yeah. And so, you just get married, start a family. Like, that's the biggest thing. You want to, like, procreate and make a huge family. So I think that's why, like, we did want a big family, but we also have had big families. So I don't think that would have changed. Like, leaving the church didn't change that for us. But, being married young was crazy. If my kids do it, I'll kill them. And they know that.
Yeah. And so, like, why do you think, because even my mom was 19, and, like, a common thing she always says is, like, on one side, like, oh, there's so many things, like, I would do differently, but at the same time, like, it's given such a beautiful life. So, like, I wouldn't change. But, like, what are kind of the things that, like, you wouldn't want your kids to go through in, like, I'm not saying like marrying young is the end of the world, and like obviously like it seems like you have a great relationship, and like even my wife and I have been together since we were 19. Like we have a great relationship. So like, what is it that you would like want them to like not shelter them from, but like not want them to go through?
I think one of the things is definitely organized like religion or just being told how to live a certain way. Yeah, like don't do what people expect you to do because you just go do you. Like, be yourself, be your individual self. I don't want them to get married young. I want them to go experience and, like, I mean, if they want to get married young, then get married young. But I feel like you're kids still. And so fortunately for us, we were married so young. And so you either grow up together or you grow up apart. Like, you grow apart because you're a kid. Like, you're growing into an adult. And so you either grow together or you grow apart. And fortunately, we were grown together. And, like, we've been through a lot, like leaving the religion and building this family, excuse me. And shifting to site work, like that was a lot in itself. So I don't know, because I don't really have any regrets in life that I would want my kids to do differently, other than just being told how to live.
Yeah. And I feel like is it weird almost seeing like Kyla now at 18 and being like,
I literally
was
said that to her. I was like, in 8 months, do you want to be married?
Yeah.
She's like, what? No. She's like, hard no. Like, no. So I'm like, no. And they know that too. Like, I feel like with my kids, I really educate them on it. And we're so open. Like, our family is so open. And so we have conversations every day. They sit at our island and we just talk and we just BS.
Do you guys eat dinner together as a family?
As much as we can.
Yeah, it's not like shift work and stuff. It's a little different, but yeah.
Yeah. I feel like these days it's more like, let's meet at the island after school.
Okay. Yeah.
And then if Dustin's on nights, which he's on nights a lot.
Yeah.
He wakes up, we get home from work and school, and that's our family time.
Oh yeah, because it'll be like probably 3 to 4 o'clock that he's kind of like actually there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he'll help with dinner, and then we'll eat together, and it's a whole.
And so, how would you say kind of like how often do you kind of reflect on like your own kind of parenting? Because like in one way you want to obviously like guide them with like a firm hand, but you're also like, I don't want to like tell you how to live. Like, how do you kind of balance that?
How often do I reflect on that? Every day. Every freaking day. I feel like a failure every day.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like I always fail at something. And not that I'm like hard on myself that way, but when you have a huge family and a full-time job and a husband working full-time, finances, everything, something's always got to give.
Yeah.
And so you can't have that expectation of a perfect life because nothing's going to be perfect. No. Something's always got to give. There's always like 8 baskets of laundry in my living room. There's always dishes. Like there's stuff like that. Like, so I feel like I can't keep up is kind of like my thing. And that gets me.
Okay.
That's my hardest part.
Yeah. But like having any kids, let alone 5, I feel like you got to give yourself some grace. Like it's all good. Like
you'd think it was that easy.
A dish is a dish, but I honestly, I don't even know. Cause I even find myself like, we have a spare room and like we live in like a basement suite. So right now, like our, spare room is like where all of my clothes are. So it almost becomes like the chair that like piles up with clothes.
Everybody
like that
has
bed,
a chair.
As I'm just like, I don't know how things go so awry. So even like my brother's coming in like later tonight from site.
Yeah.
And like he'll stay there. And I'm like, oh, that means I actually have to clean the room, which I did yesterday. But I'm like after we came back from the trip, like I had probably 10 days where my suitcase was still on there. Like I'm just like, and so I can't imagine like the routine you must like need to get into. Cause it's not even like do I want to? It's like,
you
I have to. Like I literally have no other choice. And so now you're getting on the cusp of starting your own podcast.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me a bit about like why you want to do it and kind of what your plan is?
So I'm really excited about this. Yeah. I've been working on this wanting to do it for a few years now, actually. And it just stems from like my life. And I used to blog a lot. I had a blog. And
what was your blog about?
Our family, like just everyday life, just real life of being a mom. And it wasn't like an Instagram perfect life. It wasn't. It was, here's my kids coloring all over my walls and I'd post the photos of them. Here's my kids coloring on each other with nail polish.
Oh.
And I'd post the photos of that.
Nice.
Here's my living room. You can't see the floor. Like it was stuff like that. And so I think a lot of people appreciated like my honesty of like the real life stuff because it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Even if it looks perfect, it's not. And no one is. And that's okay. So I don't know. I just want to relate with people a lot who are also going through it, whether you have one kid, no kid, you're alone, you're not married.
Like going through it? Just
anyone going through it. Like I just want to be honest and help whoever I can help or relate to whoever I can relate to. I'm a huge, huge mental health advocate, and I feel like that's a huge thing. And I feel like everybody just needs someone to like relate to.
Yep. So, and it's always like like the comfort TV show that people have. It's like you always have that thing that you're just like, I want to feel heard. I just want to like be able to play this and be cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I'm
like,
getting from.
We're the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm always such an open person. I'm an open book. Everybody knows that. I don't keep anything to myself because that's not real.
Yeah. I always find like people will ask me a question and I just go like super dark and morbid immediately. And they're like, oh, I'm like, I mean, like, I'm not trying, like, I'm just saying how it is. Like, it's not that serious. But even the things that are said in this classroom, I'm just like, I mean, I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's like at the same time, like just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you're not human. So like these kids want like, not even vulnerability is probably the wrong word, just like honesty.
They just want someone in their corner.
Yeah.
That's
like
what I always say. These kids just want someone in their corner. They want someone rooting for them, someone to care. Like just give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like always give them the benefit of the doubt. Like that's what I always try and do. And that's just my daily thing. Even with my own kids, I'm the same way. Like it's like, yeah, you can discipline. And that's the thing too, is finding balance between being a parent, being their friend, and being the parent.
Yeah.
Because you have to be the bad guy.
Yes.
It sucks.
Yeah.
That's honestly probably the hardest part of being a parent is being the bad guy.
And who's usually bad cop? You or your husband?
Me, 1,000%. Are you kidding? I'm always the bad cop, and I'm like, can you stop being so chill? Like, come on.
Yeah, I can relate to him because even trying to like, I feel like teaching is probably going to help me eventually when I have kids. Like, but maybe not because I am kind of on the very chill side of this, but I don't really know how to have that discipline bone. Luckily, I think my wife will be fine with that. But how have you guys, like, obviously very busy lives, you and your husband, how have you like found ways to like keep your marriage strong? Like 20 years in, because like you're young, like you grow, like what is it about your relationship, if you don't mind me asking, like that made you grow together?
We locked the door. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, is this like a metaphor?
No, it is really hard. That's a huge thing. I'm not going to lie. And because you always have to stay married is something we've always said. I always say that. You have to stay married. You have to remember to be married. Yeah. Because we can just coast through our days. We can coast through having the kids there, making dinner, getting ready for our routines, all that stuff. But you two have to be together separately. And the kids need to respect that too. Yeah. And so you have to teach them that. Like, mom and dad are still married. We still love each other. We're together. We're going to just go hang out and watch a show together. Leave us alone. We're going to go. Like,
well, it's like a healthy boundary too.
100%. Like do things together. Like we play baseball together. And like that's important because it's so easy just to fall into just coasting.
Routine.
Yeah. It's so
Coasting's
easy.
a good word. I like that.
It's really easy. And not that we don't like love each other and stay happy, but it's hard or it's easy, I guess I would say, to not try, I guess. So when you do try, like it makes a difference. It's the little things. You don't need to go and like buy these expensive presents and do these extravagant things. Like I went and bought him fish socks and crib pegs from the trade show for our anniversary present. I'm not kidding. And he was so stoked.
Yeah, like it is usually like the smallest thing that you're just like,
I know.
I didn't know I needed this, but I needed it.
Well, that's exactly how he was. I even got a video. He's like, you didn't need to do this, babes. I'm like, yes, I did. It's the best. I was so excited to give him these. So
Nothing
I got him.
like the Fort McMurray trade show.
I know. I scored so good there for him. And he was like, why did you do this? Why did you do this? But he sent flowers to work for me. And it's just little things like that. Like just being thought of. Like knowing that you're being thought of continually. And it's not even a huge expense thing. And it doesn't have to be a daily thing. No. Just every now and then. Because
just like being prioritized.
Yeah. Or like little massages on the back, like just things
just
like
that.
Yeah,
little things that you just like. Yeah, like intimacy doesn't need to be the 10-day trip to Mexico. Like it can just be like the little things that you guys kind of like do in the run of like your marriage. Like when you're not trying to coast all the time. Yeah. Do you guys have any like like practice is the wrong word, but do you do like a date night a week? Like what's kind of, do you do anything like that? Or is it more so you kind of just ingrained and learned each other's like?
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't. We're so busy. It's so hard. We haven't even ever been on a trip together. Ever.
Wow.
We've never even been on an airplane together.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, cause how old were you when you had like all your kids?
So I was 18 when we got married. Kyla was when I was 20, and my entire 20s I had babies. So 10 years of having babies, like 2 to 3 years apart. Because the twins, I was 22, 23, I think. And then I think I was 24. I don't know. But it was just all my 20s.
And so you went from 1 to 3? Mm-hmm. What was that like?
A lot. Go read my blog.
Honestly, I will.
You'll be like, put this woman in therapy. Take her on a trip.
So how do you think like I obviously it's obvious that it's a lot, but like how did you like what kind of new things like routines did you learn to like go through and make that easier or like make it manageable?
Well, I never had help other than Dustin. Like I didn't have a nanny. I didn't have family come help me. I didn't have anything like that. And ironically, I think it was the fact that I had my kids that kept me going.
Okay.
You know, like you just had to do it. I would say I was organized, but I really wasn't. I don't know.
It's organized chaos all the time.
Organized chaos.
Yeah.
That's literally what I say. That's our life. Organized chaos.
Yeah, that was the summer camp motto. Like I remember I worked one summer camp here at Macon, but it was during COVID, and like they're like, here's 70 kids. There's 4 of you. We're gonna give you a ballroom at Shell Place, and we're like, cool. So like the kids were pulling fire alarms because it was like the only room that had all the fire alarms in there, and the kids were just running rampant. Yeah. And so like honestly we would have times where we would like kind of each sit in a corner and just like let them go. That was
just make sure everyone's alive.
That was organized chaos. Like I have my 12. I think we're good. Man. I think that's kind of just life though. Like
it really is.
Like at what point, because I feel very like I'm still, I guess, kind of young. I got gray hairs coming in on both sides, but over here, my wife makes fun of me all the time. But like, I don't really feel like, I went to university, like I got married, whatever. But I don't feel like I have any life advice. Like, what would you tell your 20-year-old self now to like advise them or guide them?
Get your finances in order. Invest in things and just be chill.
Just be chill. It's all good.
Chill. Like I'm one of those people that doesn't stress until you have to. So like whether it comes to daily things to like medical things, I'm pretty sure the hospital was my second home as the kids were younger. Yep. I had kids with croup, pneumonia. I had kids with RSV. Croup, yeah.
What is that?
It's a lung infection.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't know that.
Like he's in the ICU with pneumonia and RSV one time. I could go on to the medical side of what I've been through. I could be a doctor.
Yeah.
A mom doctor.
Yeah.
I used to tell my kids that. I was like, yeah, moms are doctors. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
And so like, what would you, I guess, even then, like, what would you say to people who are kind of in those like medical situations? Like, what did you kind of learn going through that with your kids?
Just rally for your kid. Always rally for your kid. Like mom's instincts are always right. Always right. Always.
Yeah.
And I've always, as big as my head's going to be for saying this, I've always been right.
Yep. Yeah.
And you advocate for them. You fight for them. You fight for yourself. You fight for your, like, you follow your instincts. Always follow them. And but don't stress until you have to.
Yeah.
You know, just go through the motions and then when you get to that point of stress, then you can stress.
Yeah.
But it's life.
And because it seems like you have a pretty like grounded, I guess, like interpretation of stress. Like you kind of know what it is that makes you tick. And now like one of the main things I've noticed, because like I'll ask my students almost on like not on a daily basis, but like at least once a semester, like how many of you vape in this class? Like, I'm not gonna tell anyone. It's not for like getting you in trouble. Just general curiosity. And it's like, and I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was talking about how it's like close to like 80% have at least tried it.
Wow.
And it's like
crazy.
50% are kind of addicted. But I guess like what? If I asked you earlier, like how are you kind of parenting your kids different? But like, how is their world different than like when you were in like high school 20 years ago? Because I find that like even myself 10 years removed, it's such a different experience. But I guess like how would you, like what have you kind of picked up on like how things are different, especially coming into the schools now?
Well, I mean, obviously technology. That's like probably the biggest one. And I think my thoughts on that is educate yourself as a parent. We don't live in the same world we lived in when we were younger. So adjust how you think about it, adjust what you know about it, learn about it, learn about phones, learn about apps, learn about all these things. Don't sit here and taboo everything and just say, I'm going to put my kid in a bubble. Go and learn about it and educate yourself and educate your kid. Like be open on that. Like it's not, I just can't even understand the parents that are like, don't give him this, don't give him this, don't give him this. It's like, okay, you like that's what actually working in the school is a huge thing I've seen. If your kid doesn't have a phone, he's an outcast. He's left out. They judge you on that.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's unfortunate, but it is our life now. And so you have to adjust and educate yourself and educate your kids. You know, I'm constantly talking to my kids too about their apps. I'm like, is it this bad? They're like, well, no, our stuff's private. Like, we don't get random stranger messages. We don't get all this inappropriate stuff. Like, I feel sometimes people make it really extreme. They're like, oh my gosh. But like, that's the world we live in now. Like, imagine your kid graduating at 18 years old, going to college and then getting a phone and they know nothing about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think.
Do you find like, because I think some of the biggest things is, because like you have 4 girls who are 12 and older.
13. Yep. She just turned 13.
Between 13 and 18.
Yeah.
And do you find like they've struggled, if you don't mind sharing, like because like one of the main things with social media is like the social comparison part. And like, what have you noticed? Like, if they like, I'm not trying to like get you to like say anything about like their personal lives, but like that's something that I didn't even have in high school, was like seeing what everyone else was doing all the time. Because I think I was like 17, 18, I guess, when social media like started, but I wouldn't have had it when I was 12,
right?
Kind of thing. So have you noticed like them struggle with that at all?
No.
Wow.
No.
And I think and honestly, as I was saying it, I do think it comes from having like a pretty grounded family network as well, because you're not constantly seeking validation from other people, because you always kind of have your core group.
Exactly.
Which is now inspiring me to want a larger family.
Stop. Yeah. I did something good today. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's like, my kids, I've really, really like ingrained in them, like, don't do drama. Like, never do drama. Like, don't. It's not worth it. So...
Thank you.
Not
for
drama
that.
class.
No. Like
drama in life.
I've even noticed myself, like I've gone through like a lot in the past like 5 years of like after my dad passed, like my whole family like completely shifted.
Yeah.
And like the tea is real, and it's always there if you want it to be there.
Exactly.
But like you never have to bite.
No, this is why you watch Real Housewives and like get the drama on TV and then keep it out of your real life and you just watch other people's drama. That's what I say.
Oh, I had a student in my class like literally last week, and they were like, you know what? I need some drama in my life. I'm kind of bored. I was like, that's crazy.
Go watch Vanderpump Rules.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, my wife would watch, oh my gosh, Vampire Diaries.
Yes.
Is that?
Oh my gosh, I love Vampire Diaries. Seriously, if I'm ever depressed, I put on VD.
Oh yeah, and
That's so funny.
I couldn't do it. Like,
I
would
so good.
sometimes I'd get hooked up. Like, all right, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then it would get like too much, and I'm like, why do they do that? Like, why? But I just
like,
couldn't.
It's cheesy.
Like, I've tried so hard to just like remove myself. Again, I'm a human being. Like, if off mic will like, oh yeah, like this person did this, I'm like, yeah, they suck. But like whatever.
Totally.
Like everyone does that, but like to purposefully try to remove yourself. just from getting involved in anything that could get you into like senseless trouble, I think is like, and it's something that you don't necessarily see instilled. So I think that's like a good, like not parenting technique, but something to just be aware of, to like tell your kids like it's seriously so not worth it.
No, it's not. And like you'll always, like you said, you'll always find people that are like that. But that's why I tell them, keep your circle small. Always keep your circle small. It's better to have close people that you can trust and rely on the rest of your life than this big group. Like there's just more problems. Like I feel like there's more drama the more people you have.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of people need validation in life. And so they seek for the attention, and then that's where the drama comes from.
Yeah.
And so, I've just taught my kids, like, keep people like that at arm's length. Be nice, be kind, love them.
Yep.
But don't bring them into your circle.
Yeah.
But always make sure you care about them. You know, like, and that's what I tell them too. Like the kids who act out, the kids who behave a certain way, like, and they all know this, and thank goodness they've listened to me. They know that they're missing something inside them, and this is why they act the way they do. Like my son has a kid in his class, so he's 9. This kid is hilarious.
Yeah.
He has been bullying the kids. Like he's I guess a quote unquote bully in grade 4. And one day he was like literally punching his friends in the back. They were going out for recess.
Yep.
So they were out for recess and he was playing outside, and all of a sudden this kid was still punching his friends, but he was like from afar. So he starts running over and just like bulldozes the kid to the ground. Like if you know my son, he is like
so
the
he's
softest
going into
heart.
athletics eventually. Soon as all I'm hearing.
Oh, he's so athletic. This kid's gonna take over the world. It's so funny. But he was like, "Well, Mom, they teach us treat others how you want to be treated." I'm like, "Wow,
That's actually not
you're
a bad.
not wrong." How do I get
It's
mad
like,
at you?
I'm going to take him out. I don't care if it's not grounders. I'm going to do it.
I know. Yeah. And then he was at his table. They put him at his table because I feel like sometimes teachers put like the really nice, like softer kids to help the ones that are acting out. But he was getting very overwhelmed by this. So he told me, he's like, "I can't sit by him anymore, Mom. Like he's so mean. He's so like nonstop noisy, da 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 da." And so I finally talked to the teacher, but he came home and was like, "Mom, they teach us like if we don't feel healthy in our surroundings, we should tell people and adults. And I'm trying." And I'm like, you're too smart, kid. It's so
hilarious. Funny. And that's actually interesting too, because like it's actually an awareness of like his mental state and like how he's like, I wouldn't have thought of any of that.
No,
like,
I know.
That age, I'd have been like, I'm just trying to run around out here. Like, I don't know what's happening. I think we're doing math in class, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
And that's grade 4.
That's grade 4.
Wow.
I told you this kid's going to be doing things.
Hilarious.
Oh, he's so funny. The stuff he says. I'm like, huh.
And so now that, how are you feeling about your first one potentially leaving the nest soon?
Oh, I hate it. Yeah. I'm moving with her. I hate it. But it's going to be good for her. Actually, she might be staying for a year or two still, and then she might go to school here and stay at home to save money because
honestly,
expensive.
I can't get over, like, I didn't really know, like my family was going to move to Calgary anyway because like our house didn't burn, but like it burned. Like we sold our house in Fort McMurray 4 days before the fire. Like that was like, we were planning on moving to Airdrie anyway. And when that happened, like that's when I finished high school.
Oh, wow.
So like I was upgrading and stuff anyway. And like we were going to go down, but I couldn't get over like the opportunities of like staying at Keanu, like how much you, like you can pretty much go, like they like pay you to go. They're like, like come on
I'm like,
down.
do better in LA.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
get that free tuition. Go talk to Miss McCullough.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's, like there's so many other opportunities that are like local here that I wasn't really aware of, especially like the ones that you commit to working after. Like, it can get crazy, like how much, like the incentive to stay around here. But
I know.
Yeah,
she wants to go, and that's what she wanted to do. But we've both had to sit down with her, and we're like, you just can't. Like we really can't. Like you're the first of 5 kids, and she wants to do her aviation, and that's not a cheap school. So she finally was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm going to stay and get it done here.
Well, especially if your goal is traveling, like you're flying.
Like, you're going anyways.
You'll fly
Do
everywhere.
the 2 years here and then go.
All right.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of moving into the period of your family where like, and I don't mean this the wrong way. Like you're not quite as needed anymore because like the kids are getting a bit older. And so like, however you're starting to, like, it's probably one of the first opportunities you've had to like think about yourself, like in like a very long time. So like, how are you almost kind of adjusting to that new phase?
Well, I'm lonely. Sometimes I beg them to watch shows with me, and I'm like, because they all do their own thing. They're all teens. They're all independent. And I'm like, does anyone want to watch a movie with mom? Does anybody want to hang out with me? Want to play with me? Like, and they're like, no, we want to watch our shows. We want to hang out in our room. We have homework. We have this and studying. And I'm like, okay.
So you guys were way cooler when you were like 6.
Medium. Go back to that age where you need me, but not quite so much. No, it's an adjustment. And I don't know. They're just like my world. So when they're not there, I feel like, what do I do with myself? Yeah. Like, I don't do anything for myself.
Yeah. And I think that's a mom thing anyway, though. It's to just like, oh yeah, I just go full, like absolutely into like helping my kids like become who they are. But like even my mom it was weird because like when my dad passed away, it was also coincided with like the months that I was moving out.
Oh.
So I had lived with them through university. Like I lived with my parents through university as well. Saved like $40,000 on residence and whatever.
Crazy, right?
And I think it was like $12,000 per year. Like it was something. It was stupid crazy how much it was, especially at U of C.
Yeah.
But even after that, she was just like, I don't know. Like her thing was always like she would text me like 11 a.m. She's like, "What do you want for supper?" I'd be like, I'm all good. Like whatever. Like make whatever you want. But that was her day was like scheduled around like how do I like okay like my dad was flying in and out like okay like when like, we'll do this week and then she did that with her sisters and like make supper for Luke and whatever. And now it was like
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what's not talked about enough is like it's one thing to have a family on the younger side, but like you're still a very like young adult and like potentially, obviously not an empty nest anytime soon, but like you're kind of in that like semi emptiness where your kids are independent, where you're kind of like, I don't really know. Like,
well, it's actually funny you say that because when they were younger, so I've always worked, always had something on the side I always had to contribute somehow.
Yeah.
And like, as bad as it sounds, I didn't want to just be a mom. I wanted to be like an independent person and like do things for myself. I wanted to be like me, like not just a mom. Like, I'm a mom, but like I have so many other skills and things that I can do and contribute. And so I've always been I'm a big entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I've always had companies, like businesses, stuff like that. I've always done things on the side. But when they were younger, I had a friend and her kids were older and they were all going to be full-time school. But she had no experience working, no education, nothing. And she was like, well, now my kid's in school, like I have nothing to do. And I was like, that will never be me. Like, I do not want to be that person. So that's why I feel like I've always done stuff like the photography, the interior design, the list is very long of what I've done.
So what's like some of the more obscure things that you've done? Or has it all been like?
Okay. So I made baby bracelets when the kids were babies.
Yeah.
I used to make wood letter names for kids' rooms.
Yeah.
Like literally cut them myself.
Oh,
and build them while my twin toddlers were on my legs crying.
Nice.
And in my kitchen.
It's like, guys, just be cool. It's all good.
I got so busy, I had to actually quit that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was actually a good company. Then I quit because it was just too much.
Yeah.
Photography, that's always been my side thing. I went and worked at a clinic and did laser hair removal. And I've worked at the dental surgery clinic.
Dental surgery.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was actually right there. What else did I do? The list is so long, I even forget all of it. But I've always just always tried to find like some sort of income. And it's not even I don't want the pressure always put on my husband.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I always felt like I had to contribute somehow.
Well, it's also too like your friend. It's also, I often hear like the mom guilt of like not contributing.
Yeah.
So if you're not like kind of actively seeking, so then that time comes when like the guilt hits, but you don't really have a track record of like doing a whole lot. Like that can be almost even more overwhelming than kind of always having been doing something.
And that's kind of how I feel right now, actually. Because working full time right now, like I still have 5 kids.
Yes.
I still have a household to run. And it's a lot. Like I get overwhelmed a lot. Just trying to balance and just find the routine. And like Dustin does so much. Like he'll cook, he'll clean. I even say he's a better stay-at-home mom than I am. So I'm like, sometimes it's nice coming to work if he's off, and I'm like, oh,
like some of the
you
things
did the
are,
laundry, you did the dishes.
Oh, there's only 4 instead of 8 baskets now. That's a win for the day.
I did the laundry. He's like, hey, did you notice I did the dishes today? I'm like, do you want a trophy?
A man always has to.
I
They have to
swear.
declare everything they did. If I
know. And
I'm
he'll
ashamed to
always
say
do it.
I'm the same way.
I
but-
know. I'm like, where's mine? I should have 1,000. Come on. I
So now I guess the next phase is like you're starting to get into like the podcasting lane, and I
Yes.
kind of brought it up a little bit, but can I say the name of it?
Yes.
It's Sightwave, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so like when should we kind of expect to see that come out? And like what are the first kind of couple episodes?
I'm
if you don't
hoping
mind going
right
into
away.
it a bit. Yeah.
I do want to record a few just practice
Yeah.
episodes. But one thing I'm really excited about, and my kids are actually excited about it, and they came up with the idea is doing a family podcast once a week.
Absolutely.
Just all of us talking.
Yeah.
We're very entertaining.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm honestly I've dealt with 3 so far. JC and Presley with track or cross country earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
They're so funny. They're sarcastic. Like our family's not, we're not intense. We're very chill. We're very sarcastic. We voice our opinions, sometimes almost too much.
Yeah.
Kind of scares me.
Yeah.
So this is why we'll pre-record.
That's all right. That's all right.
There was a whole bust-in down the road of like these thieves, and the place was covered in cops and ambulances, and we're recording in the window. And I sent it to my friend, and I was like, look what we saw last night at like 4 a.m. And she's like, I couldn't even get past your family's commentary. It's the most funny thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, we are entertaining.
The collective people watching, there's no better thing. Oh
Like,
yeah.
There was a kid across the street, and he's going to site, and he actually goes to school here, and Kyla's like, oh, hey, so-and-so, your son's what did she say? Sneaking out. But he was like actually going to site to work because he's in the rap program.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was just so funny. But yeah, so we'll do I definitely want to do the family thing, and then I want to have like regular people on it that can just relate to what I'm talking about, like the mom stuff, the being a wife stuff, like everything we've been talking about, the working mom life, the stay-at-home mom life, the pregnancy, like the non-pregnancy, the like postpartum, the mental health, the like having a mental breakdown in your room because you just need to. Locking your door and watching TV and saying, get out, you know, just little things like that. Like people don't realize like we're all the same. And so I just want to talk about it and what I've gone through in life. And I've gone through a lot with mental health as well. And that's a whole nother bag of tricks.
Do you want to share anything? Like what, I guess, like what are some of the things that like you have, like maybe learn is the wrong word. I guess how have you kind of adapted to like realizing that you are someone like with mental? Because I have my own bag of tricks as well
like,
with the mental health lane. If you don't mind sharing, like what would be some like, what do you think? What word do you think I'm looking for?
Just like how to be aware and like deal with it, like handle it.
Yeah.
You just be aware.
Yeah.
Like you have to know who you are as an individual, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like if you aren't okay, that's okay. But just take care of yourself when you're not okay. So just be aware of your like triggers, what boundaries you need to set in life, and don't care what people think. Yeah. You literally cannot care what people think. And I don't. Yeah. And that's one of my biggest things in life.
And highly respectable. And I think like, but really, I think it makes everything easier for everyone.
Yeah. Because you can read into anything. You can like, working with coworkers, even for example, like I could be like, I don't know, feelings hurt left and right,
Yeah.
Like,
it's very easy to, again, kind of like finding drama. It's
Yeah.
kind of very easy to find a way for, and I don't mean feelings hurt in like the classic like political sense today,
No.
like, oh, you're oversensitive. It's
Yeah.
it's like you'll find ways to perceive things as digs that
100%.
most likely aren't, and you're just kind of like, oh, like I'm actually just making my life worse, and it's me that's doing it, which is something I think the awareness comes into play for sure.
Yeah.
But
And I think that actually, circling back to when we left the church, one of the biggest things I've always lived by is you're always going to disappoint someone. You're always going to have someone not agree with your choices or think you're doing the wrong thing. You're never going to have everyone's approval on how you live life. Someone's always going to, like when I used to say, someone will be disappointed.
yeah,
But you just can't care.
No.
You have to just not let that bother you. And that was a huge hurdle that I had to get over. And I think that made me into like a completely different human because I just no longer worried about what people thought.
Yep.
And that's a huge hurdle that I think so many people need to get through.
And I find like it takes time. Like it's like a weird, like it's like one day you think you're like, oh, I don't care, and then someone says like, oh, why did you say that? But then it's like
100%.
you'll like, but I find you get easier,
Yeah.
get faster at processing it, and just like,
And you still care. Like sometimes things, like I'm not like a robot.
Yeah,
I'm still human.
Yeah.
And I still have feelings. But is it worth it to worry about it? You know, like it's not. Like that's what I always say. Don't worry unless you have to.
yeah, it's not that deep.
It's not
That's
that
what-
deep.
It's not that deep.
Exactly.
A Stacey Bailey original. But so I got one more question to ask you,
Sure.
and it's what I end every podcast with. Especially now that you're in education, as your 20 millionth job. Education is what remains once we forget everything that we learned in school. What is it that you want people to take away from their time with you they won't get with anyone else?
That I cared. Just that I cared about them.
Yeah.
I just want someone to feel like, I cared about them.
Yeah, it's like I rooted for you.
Exactly. That's actually what I always say.
Yeah.
I root for them. I'm always in your corner. I don't care. You want to make bad choices. You want to do these things. I will still care and be here for you if you need me.
Yeah, even in the rough,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Sight wife coming soon.
Yes. I'm so excited. Thank you.
No worries. Hello again, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen to our conversation here today. If there are any issues with professional conduct and or you would like to share your own story, experience, or have something you would like to contribute to the show, please reach out at mrclarkafterdark@gmail.com or send a direct message on Instagram to @mrclark.afterdark. Hope you all enjoyed, potentially found something of use, and of course, please do not forget to subscribe. See you next time, unless you're scared.